Everything you learned about Christopher Columbus may be wrong.
He didn't discover America, he never reached North America, and he certainly didn't prove the Earth was round. So, in 1492, Columbus believed he had reached Asia. Instead, he landed in the Caribbean, where one decision would change the fate of millions of people forever. Christopher Columbus is one of the most famous names in history. He is often remembered as the explorer who discovered America.
For generations, schools taught that Columbus bravely sailed into the unknown and changed the world forever. The story usually begins in 1492, when Columbus sailed west with 3 famous ships. Many people also believe Columbus proved the Earth was round. Perhaps the most famous claim is that Columbus discovered America. Almost every part of that story is either incomplete or simply wrong. Columbus wasn't trying to discover a new continent. He was searching for a faster route to Asia. European kingdoms desperately wanted another way to reach the valuable spice markets of Asia. Portugal rejected his proposal, but Spain decided to fund the risky expedition. After weeks at sea, Columbus finally spotted land. But it wasn't Asia, and it wasn't North America.
Columbus didn't arrive in what is now the United States. His first landfall was likely one of the islands in the Bahamas, deep within the Caribbean.
During his first voyage, Columbus explored several Caribbean islands, believing he had reached islands near Asia rather than
The islands weren't empty. They were home to the Taíno people, who had lived there for generations with thriving communities.
The first encounters were peaceful. The Taíno welcomed the newcomers and shared food, gifts, and supplies with the exhausted sailors. Very quickly, Columbus began taking native islanders captive. Some were forced to guide the expedition, while others were taken against their will. But Columbus's own journal quickly revealed what caught his attention. Instead of wondering about these new cultures, he repeatedly searched for one thing: gold. Every island he explored became another opportunity to search for wealth that he believed would make Spain rich.
In his own writings, Columbus described the islanders as people who, in his words, would make fine servants. His plans were becoming increasingly clear. Within only a few years, hundreds of indigenous people were captured and transported across the Atlantic as slaves, beginning one of history's darkest chapters.
This was only the beginning. Columbus' voyages didn't just connect 2 worlds, they also unleashed consequences. You might think capturing a handful of islanders was the darkest part of Columbus's story. It wasn't. Before Columbus arrived, the Americas were anything but empty. Millions of people lived across vast networks of cities, villages, kingdoms, and civilization. Before Columbus arrived, the Americas weren't an empty wilderness. They were already home to millions of people living in thriving societies. From the Maya and the Aztecs to the Inca, advanced civilizations had flourished for centuries, developing cities, agriculture. Columbus's voyages triggered what historians now call the Columbian Exchange, a massive transfer of people.
Europe gained potatoes, tomatoes, cacao, and corn, while the Americas received horses, cattle, wheat, and other Old World animals that would permanently reshape daily life.
But among all these exchanges, one would prove far more devastating than anything Columbus could have imagined: disease. Smallpox, measles, and influenza spread rapidly among indigenous communities that had no natural immunity. Entire villages disappeared within a single generation.
As colonization expanded, forced labor systems became widespread. Native communities were expected to produce wealth for the Spanish crown.
For many colonial leaders, gold became more valuable than the people who mined it. What began as one expedition quickly became a continuous wave of exploration, conquest, and colonization that reshaped the entire Atlantic world.
History remembers Columbus as a hero. But after everything we've seen, does that title still fit? For centuries, Columbus was celebrated almost without question. But modern historians paint a far more complicated picture. Even during his own lifetime, Columbus' rule drew criticism. Many settlers accused him of harsh leadership and poor governance. In 1500, Columbus was arrested and sent back to Spain in chains after an investigation into his administration.
Although the monarchs eventually released him, Columbus never regained his position as governor.
Christopher Columbus died in 1506, still believing he had found a route to Asia rather than an entirely new continent. For generations, textbooks simplified Columbus into a heroic explorer, leaving out many of the darker realities of his voyages.
Today, many countries continue debating how Columbus should be remembered. Some still celebrate Columbus Day, while others honor Indigenous Peoples Day instead.
History isn't about replacing one myth with another. It's about understanding the full story, even when it's uncomfortable. Columbus didn't simply begin an age of exploration. His voyages reshaped global history in ways that still influence our world more than 5 centuries later.
So after everything we've uncovered, who was Christopher Columbus? A courageous explorer? A ruthless conqueror? Is too complex to fit into a single label.
By now, one thing should be clear. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America, he never reached North America, and he didn't prove the Earth was round.
History isn't always defined by who arrives first. Sometimes it's defined by who changes everything that comes after. Forever altered the lives of millions, for better and for worse. If one of the most famous stories in history turned out to be far more complicated than we were taught, how many other historical facts deserve a second look?
So here's the question I'd like you to answer. Should Christopher Columbus be remembered as a visionary explorer, a ruthless conqueror, or both?
Subscribe and join us as we explore the people, empires, and moments that shaped our world.